This gripping story begins in Japan, 1954, with Nick Eliel, a former American soldier serving a 10-year prison sentence. In the opening scene, Nick is scrubbing the grimy bathroom area of the prison, his expression hardened by years of confinement. Suddenly, 5 imposing men, their bodies adorned with tattoos that tell silent stories of power and violence, emerge from the bathroom, glaring at Nick with unspoken menace. Once they're gone, Nick cautiously steps inside, only to be confronted by a horrified sight, a man hanging with his hands bound above him. Shouting for help, Nick rushes to save the man. Moments later, a squad of guards storms in, dragging Nick and the other inmate aside. Their punishment is swift and brutal. The head guard, barking orders in Japanese, waves a letter found on the victim, though Nick's lack of understanding leaves him in the dark. The tension builds as the head guard's frustration boils over, and Nick is thrown into solitary confinement. Inside the dim, claustrophobic cell, Nick discovers he's sharing the space with the very man he saved. The man introduces himself.
My name is Kyoshi.
A member of the powerful Shiramatsu Yakuza clan. Kyoshi, speaking in fragmented English, reveals an audacious plan for escape. He explains he will fake a desperate act to be sent to the hospital, where Shiramatsu allies will aid his escape. In return, he promises Nick the protection of the clan if he assists.
I need your help.
Nick listens intently as Kyoshi lays out the details. A sharp tool is needed for the act, and Kyoshi entrusts Nick to find one. The opportunity comes while the prisoners labor under the watchful eyes of the guards. Nick spots a jagged rock among the rubble, carefully pockets it, and later sharpens it into a crude blade. Back in the cell, Kyoshi prepares for the risky move. He grips the sharpened rock, his eyes locking with Nick's. Kyoshi's voice is calm but urgent as he gives the final instruction. Nick must ensure he survives and call the guards at the right moment. The plan unfolds with tense precision. As Kyoshi collapses, blood seeping from his self-inflicted wound, the guards react in a frenzy, rushing him to the hospital. The chaos works in their favor, and Kyoshi's escape is set into motion. Nick's role in the plan earns him an unexpected reward. His sentence is quietly shortened, and he's released ahead of schedule. Emerging from prison, Nick is almost unrecognizable, his hair freshly cut, his beard shaved, and his face carrying the weight of his experience. He steps into the world outside, his fate now intertwined with the mysterious promises of the Shiramatsu clan. A sleek black car waits outside the prison gates as Nick steps out, his freshly shaven face unreadable. Inside, a driver silently nods in acknowledgement and drives him to the Shiramatsu headquarters in Osaka. Upon arrival, Nick is greeted by officials of the clan who offer their gratitude for his pivotal role in Kyoshi's escape. One of the leaders, exuding authority, presents him with his first job, a negotiation involving an American businessman. Nick, with no hesitation, agrees.
You could help us with that. Or maybe I could.
That evening, a Shiramatsu member hands Nick a stack of cash to cover a hotel stay. Instead of retreating, Nick explores the city. He finds himself at a gambling den and later a dimly lit bar, where the lively hum of patrons fills the air. There, he notices a striking Japanese woman whose presence commands the room. Intrigued, he tips her generously before slipping into the night. Next day, Kyoshi escorts Nick to a metal factory for the negotiation. Inside, Nick meets Anthony Panetti, a brash American running the factory. Panetti's demeanor is far from welcoming. He sneers at Nick, mocking Japanese culture and belittling the Yakuza. He flatly rejects Shiramatsu's terms, boasting that he's also negotiating with the Chu clan from Kobe. Panetti's arrogance reaches a peak as he dismisses Nick with contempt.
And now, you can get the house.
The tension in the room is palpable, and Nick knows words won't shift the balance. Without warning, he grabs a hefty typewriter from the desk and slams it against Panetti's head, leaving the man stunned and bloodied. The message is clear. Panetti reluctantly agrees to Shiramatsu's terms. Following the job's success, Kyoshi and the Shiramatsu members treat Nick to a celebratory night at a bar. The atmosphere is jovial until members of the rival Seizu clan barge in, radiating hostility. Tensions rise as a Seizu member provokes Nick. his taunts laced with malice. Nick's patience snaps, and he smashes a bottle over the man's head, sparking chaos. Guns are drawn on both sides, but the Sezu members, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, retreat, muttering threats. Nick's unflinching aggression impresses the Shiramatsu, earning him deeper trust from Kiyoshi. As a reward, Kiyoshi grants Nick a luxurious apartment and proposes that he officially join the Yakuza clan. With little hesitation, Nick agrees, his allegiance cemented. Kiyoshi soon involves Nick in another job, this time dealing with a rebellious bar owner refusing to comply with Shiramatsu's control. When negotiations break down, Nick doesn't hesitate. He slashes the owner's throat in a single, decisive move. Kiyoshi finishes the job with a brutal stab, ensuring the clan's dominance remains unquestioned. Afterward, Kiyoshi takes Nick to a Shiramatsu-owned nightclub to relax. Amid the pulsing lights and music, Nick spots the petite Japanese woman he had seen at the bar. Her magnetic movements captivate the room, though she's surrounded by other men. As Nick watches, Kiyoshi steps in, pulling her off the dance floor. His protective demeanor and stern tone suggest he's concerned about her safety, especially with the ongoing tension involving the rival Su clan. Later, Kiyoshi asks Nick to escort the woman home, introducing her as Miyu, his sister.
Nick, take my sister home.
When they arrive at her doorstep, Miyu shifts from coy to playful, teasing Nick as she invites him inside. After some hesitation, he accepts, and they share a moment of connection. As they talk, Nick notices a Yakuza tattoo intricately etched onto her back, a mark of the underworld ties that now define both their lives.
I should go.
Shit. The next day, Kiyoshi assigns Nick a critical task, purchasing weapons from an American soldier. He stresses that the deal must remain discreet and detached from any Shiramatsu connections. This means Nick must handle everything on his own. At the docks, Nick finds an unexpected scene, a lifeless body on the ground. Before he can process what's happened, members of the rival Tsu clan appear, attempting to disrupt the deal and steal the money. Anticipating trouble, Nick had hidden the $2 million in his car early. Frustrated by their failure to find the cash, the Tsu members confront Nick aggressively. One of the two men orders Nick to kneel, brandishing a weapon. Nick appears to comply, but as the situation escalates, he springs into action. The remaining members retreat, leaving Nick victorious but fully aware of the dangerous repercussions. News of the incident quickly reaches the Shiramatsu leader, who calls a meeting with all key members, including Nick and Kiyoshi. The leader demands an explanation, suspecting that someone leaked the details of the weapons deal. Kiyoshi defends Nick, assuring the leader that the $2 million remains untouched. However, the leader reprimands Nick for escalating the conflict by confronting the Jew members, warning that his actions could provoke a larger gang war. To prevent retaliation, the leader orders a traditional gesture of apology, 2 severed fingers sent to the Chu clan. The weight of the punishment is palpable. Kiyoshi, feeling responsible for involving Nick in the mission, steps forward and offers to take Nick's place. Moved by Kiyoshi's loyalty, the leader agrees. Both Nick and Kiyoshi contribute to the peace offering. A grim but effective resolution to avoid further bloodshed. Later, in a private car ride, the Shiramatsu leader speaks candidly with Nick. Their conversation unveils deeper suspicions. The leader believes there's a mole within the Shiramatsu clan, likely feeding information to the Chu. The car eventually stops at a ceremonial venue where Nick is officially inducted into the Shiramatsu clan. The ceremony, steeped in tradition, marks Nick's acceptance as a trusted member of the family. That evening, the clan celebrates his induction with a lively gathering at a bar. Amid the festivities, Nick steps outside to speak with Kiyoshi privately. During their conversation, Nick reveals his relationship with Miyu, Kiyoshi's sister. The revelation doesn't sit well with Kiyoshi at first, his protective instincts kicking in. Yet, beneath his initial disapproval, there's a sense of begrudging acceptance as he sees the sincerity in Nick's words. After learning about their intimacy, Kiyoshi reluctantly gives his blessing, recognizing Nick's sincerity. With a mix of apprehension and acceptance, Kiyoshi congratulates Nick, acknowledging that their bond now makes them brothers in more ways than one.
Congratulations. Don't be ever your brothers.
Having earned his place in the Shiramatsu clan and Kiyoshi's approval, Nick decides to commemorate his commitment by getting a traditional Yakuza tattoo to match Miyu's. The intricate design symbolizes loyalty and strength. As the tattooist works, Mew stays by Nick's side, explaining the deep cultural significance. Meanwhile, Jisoo's location is revealed, a place that resembles a cross between a hotel and an abandoned psychiatric hospital. Jisoo and the other girls are in constant danger, forced to sleep on the floor and endure beatings. Kang, the detective, and Chung-sik manage to sneak into the station and then into the police accounting department. Chung-sik plays the role of a subordinate to the so-called chief prosecutor of Seoul. When questioned, they claim to be there to check the evidence, nearly getting caught when suspicious officers ask for their identification. At that moment, Kang decides to intervene, creating a distraction. The maneuver works perfectly, giving them just enough time to escape the building and leave the station parking lot. The money is now in their hands, but they need to act quickly. Meanwhile, Kit punishes the thug who beat Jisoo, treating his own men like disposable goods. Jisoo lies unconscious. The scene is interrupted by a phone call. On the other end, Kang proposes a meeting to hand over the money. But Kit, not intending to keep his word, orders his men to take the money and kill Kang as soon as he arrives. Back at the station, chaos erupts as police react to the illegal break-in and theft. The detective, suspecting Kang's involvement, calls him. Kang answers briefly, saying he will find his wife and face the consequences later. Meanwhile, Jisoo, regaining consciousness, attempts an escape with the help of a newfound ally. She climbs out a window just in time, slipping onto a ledge and jumping. She survives the fall and runs toward the forest. By the time the captors realize she's gone, Jisoo is already out of sight. Kit arrives with his bodyguard and is furious about her escape. Jisoo reaches a road but is quickly recaptured. As Kit searches for Jisoo, Kang and his two allies arrive at the place where the women are held. The door is locked, but nothing can stop Kang now. He enters the building and, through surveillance cameras, finds the room where the girls are kept. He rushes there, taking down guards on his way. Kang reaches the room from where Kit had called him earlier, where the boss's bodyguard is waiting. The fight is longer than usual, but the outcome is still the same. The guard stands no chance against Kang's wrath. Meanwhile, Chung-sik and the detective see the guards trying to move the girls. The element of surprise works in their favor as they liberate the captive women. Kang continues his rampage through the abandoned resort, knocking out every thug he encounters. The last gangster almost brings Kang down, but a sudden unconventional move and a powerful slap end the fight. When Kang finally reaches the room where Jisoo was held, he sees a bent window grate, realizing she escaped right in front of his eyes. As he leaves the resort, police have already arrived and arrested the criminals. His partners meet him outside. This time, their fake identities worked better than before. In the station, they managed to convince everyone they were from the chief prosecutor's office. While the police bought their story, the duo slips away unnoticed. Kang is driving away when he comes face to face with Kit. There is a crowd of police officers around. A chase ensues, but reversing through the area proves ineffective. Kit and his driver turn around and try to flee, but Kang follows closely. Kit, knowing Kang's weakness, shows Jisoo's drugged face through the side window. Kang realizes he must act carefully to avoid hurting his wife. He overtakes Kit's car but prevents it from crashing into the barrier, sending himself spinning onto the highway. Kit survives, but his driver is knocked out. The Mafia boss stumbles onto the road and charges at Kang's car with an axe. Kang finally captures him and beats him mercilessly, then throws him out of the vehicle. Kit collapses, but Kang, blinded by rage, doesn't stop until his opponent is unable to speak. Only then does Kang turn to the car where his unconscious wife lies. Jisoo slowly comes to, crying tears of joy as she embraces Kang. The story concludes with a news broadcast reporting on the shutdown of the gang's human trafficking operation. The second story is about a huge win for Kang and Chung-sik. The Chinese government has returned the entire confiscated shipment of royal crabs. Their ship finally reached its destination. Kang's dream comes true, and he and Jisoo become wealthy and influential. The couple arrives at an upscale crab restaurant, which Kang now supplies. They live happily ever after. The final scene cuts to the film's production, where it's revealed that the entire movie was shot in less than 3 months.